Hello class. So last time I saw you, we were making these vertical looms out of cardboard. So the threads that we have going vertically or up and down, that is called our warp. Now we're going to get started with what's called our weft. And this is the yarn that's going to be woven through the warp, going up, down, up, down. So what I'm doing first is I'm just making a little bend at the very end of my string. That way I don't fray my edges. So here I'm going under the first, over the second, under, over, and I'm just lifting up the warp threads. That way I can get my weft under. Okay, so I'm making sure I have a tail. That part is the most important part. We're gonna leave a tail hanging out. We're not gonna knot it. We don't need to worry about doing anything like that, but we're just gonna leave the tail out. And now we're gonna go back to that side where we finished off. And now I'm going to go over that first vertical line. I'm gonna go over, under, over, under. Something that you really want to make sure you're doing, this is the most important part, is that you're weaving kind of upwards, an upwards diagonal. And this is going to help not warp your final weaving. If we start pulling these threads too tight, you're going to end up with a final result that can look a little bit wonky. So we want to make sure we're following this rule to kind of start weaving at a diagonal. So now I pulled that one string back down and it looks like I have a hill. So if that helps you remember, make sure you have a hill. And this is what happens when we start pulling too tight. That's the kind of wonkiness I was explaining. It's gonna start not looking even. It's not gonna really look like a rectangle. It's gonna look a little wavy on the sides. So now I'm pushing my thread down and I notice it's really, really loopy. So I'm gonna give it a gentle tug and just pull a little bit of it out just to make it a tiny bit tighter. Be careful though, because this is when it can start getting wonky without you even realizing it. All right, so here I am, I'm just adding a couple more rows. One other important thing we wanna make sure we're keeping in mind, if we don't think the thread is going to make it to the other side, just stop at the side you're at and then leave that tail out, okay? So mine made it to the other side just fine. I'm not sure if it's going to make it for my next round, so I'm gonna kind of lay my string on it, see if it looks like it's gonna match up. And if I think it's gonna match up, I'm gonna go for it. But if your string is gonna end partially in the middle of your loom, then just end on the side that you're at now. I pulled my string a little bit too tight, just to show you what it'll start to look like if you're pulling too tight. And we're just gonna keep on going. Okay, so I finished my black thread and I wanna start a new color, so I chose yellow. And I left off with my black thread going over. So I'm starting off with my yellow thread going under, and I sped this up a little bit. I'm just pulling my yellow thread right over to the other side, just like we've been doing with our other thread. And we're gonna leave these tails. If it makes you feel better, you can tie them together, but you can also just leave them and they will be perfectly fine.